Hello, everyone. I'm Nick Weiss, and welcome to Reshaping Your Workplace for Wellness, Safety, and Productivity, presented by Rightsize Facility. We appreciate you taking time out of your day to be with us and realize that while everybody's working from home, they're still all very busy. And as such, Rightsize has about 100 people working remotely, diligently planning, furnishing, and servicing our client spaces as they prepare for future moves and transitions, but also spending a lot of time redesigning, retrofitting, and reconfiguring our client spaces as they prepare for the return to work. We realize that things may not be as as they were before, and that we're working from home in many different ways, but taking some time out of your day to learn a little bit more about what our 100 people are learning and collaborating on and absorbing so that we can share it with you and use that information to plan your spaces is what we hope to gain from today's presentation. So the New York Times came out with an article that was titled, "In the Fog of Coronavirus, There Are No Experts. In a pandemic, it's not just truth against misinformation, and every choice is an experiment." So the way we look at that is that there are no experts on a post-pandemic world, but there are experts that we can seek answers from relevant to their area of expertise. And so our team's been working closely with government officials, healthcare workers, scientists, building engineers, commercial real estate analysts, architecture and design professionals, and workplace furnishings experts, including our manufacturers, to come up with solutions that will help people return to office in a safe, productive manner and allow people to get back to some sense of normalcy in a quick fashion as soon as the order is lifted. So some of these experts that we're collaborating with include real estate or commercial real estate professionals. So what Colliers, for instance, is saying is that the focus is now and for the foreseeable future is twofold. One, centers around business continuity and preparedness. How do businesses operate effectively, working remotely or in split conditions? And what does the preparation look like to negate future disruptions? And the other is around the well-being of employees. How do businesses take measures to keep their employees safe, healthy, and productive? Well-being and wellness are two very important factors of how we plan spaces. Well-being consisting of the mental and emotional and cultural health of the employee, and then wellness focusing around the overall health of the body, and how do ergonomics and the workplace play a part in making you healthy in the workplace. So something that we find very interesting is this statement: workers will not return to the same office space they left. And you can look at that two different ways. One, of course they won't. They're going to return to an office space that employers have adapted for distancing and protection and separation and safety. So they're going to see a very different workplace that's going to allow them to feel comfortable in that environment. But the other way of looking at it is that if employers do not make the changes to the workplace, workers will simply not return. They won't feel safe. They won't trust that their health is being looked out for, and they won't come back to the office. They'll either try to continue to work remotely, or potentially seek employment elsewhere. So the bottom line is that changes must occur. So Cushman & Wakefield, for instance, created a 300-page manual on safely reopening these offices. And they've included advice for every part of the workday, from the moment that the employee leaves home at the beginning of the day. And it's really kind of a neat exercise. You may have seen the video on the news or in social media, but they created what they're calling the 6 feet office. And they've been actually working and utilizing this office for a couple of months now and have interesting data supporting that. But some of the things they implemented were very insightful. And rather than show the video, I'm just going to show you a couple of images of what was in the video to highlight some key components. One, sanitization everywhere. So from the moment you enter the building, before you touch anything like a kiosk or an elevator, and from the moment you enter the workplace, before you touch a door or your workstation, there are sanitization stations. There are also markers, directional signage in every part of the building indicating where you should go, how you should distance, where you should stand. And here's an example of one inside an elevator. In this case, it's a small elevator, so there's just a dot in each corner of the back, so that's a 2-person elevator, and they can remain properly distanced as they go up and down. There's also a tear sheet when you enter the workplace. So grabbing this recyclable piece of paper that you know is clean, fresh off the pad, that you can put on your desk and set your keyboard and mouse on and work from, that you know that this area you're touching is safe and clean, as well as screens everywhere to prevent the flow of infected water vapor and air. And then they went so far as to replace sections of carpet around workstations to create kind of a sphere of safety, or a circle of safety out of carpet. So cutting circles into the existing carpet, ripping up that existing broadloom or carpet tile, and putting down an actual solid surface or a solid circle of carpet that indicates to anyone walking around the office that that you don't want to trespass, if you will, into that person's circle of safety, so that they feel comfortable at their workspace and everybody knows how to traverse the office in a safe manner. So Jones Lang LaSalle is another firm that's being very vocal and has a lot of great content coming out. And they talk about how workplace strategists and designers, so the people in our world, will have a more important role than ever to play in shaping the future of places and spaces where we come together to connect, work productively, and be inspired. Inevitably, this experience will lead to a shift in how corporate real estate thinks about their office requirements, accelerating existing trends, and prompting new ones. So in the following pages, in the words of Thomas Paine, I offer nothing more than simple facts, plain arguments, and common sense. So as we navigate the complexities of this COVID-19 pandemic, we're just going to let common sense be our guide and share with you the information that we feel is relevant. Jones Lang LaSalle also came out with this client experience journey that really tells a good story and almost relates the pandemic that we're in to the stages of grief. First being shock, denial, disbelief that this is even a thing that's affecting us. And then the realization that, yes, we need to do something, confronting the impacts and dynamics of the situation, responding to it. So we sheltered in place, we closed the workplace. And then now we're in this productivity challenge phase where we bridge the path to a more resilient and adaptive future state and plan and resiliency planning for this new way of working. So we're reimagining the spaces. We're working with clients to create ways to get them back into the workplace. Then as we decide on those solutions, we implement them and redesign and retrofit and reconfigure those spaces in advance of the return to work, so that eventually the workers and companies that get back to work can flourish and thrive in their workplace. Some short-term changes that we're seeing are touch-free sanitization everywhere, easy access to disinfectant wipes, masks, various PPE at the ready, frequent sterilization and cleaning of spaces, at least daily, if not multiple times throughout the day for high contact areas, optimization of HVAC systems. So maybe not HEPA filters because they aren't practical in commercial HVAC, but things like UVC light that can sterilize the air as it flows through the ductwork and into the space. The phasing of the return to work and shift staggering and distancing. Use of remote work for improved virtual meeting technology like we're having now. Informational and directional signage throughout the public and private spaces. Temperature stations and screening of employees on arrival. To varying degrees, we're already seeing this implemented, especially in manufacturing. The implementation of workstation screens, space dividers, biophilia, so using plants to divide space. The reconfiguration of furniture to separate and realign. And then enforce traffic patterns in open areas to decrease interaction and touch points in aisles so people aren't in close proximity. So traveling either clockwise or counterclockwise through an office space. Some long-term changes that we might see include complete office remodels and a change in architectural design based on distancing. So as we plan future spaces, could they completely change in structure? Some widespread implementation of motion sensors and touch-free fixtures, auto-open doors, and other new technological innovations like hands-free height-adjustable tables. So rather than pressing a button to make your desk go up and down, you might even just be able to wave a hand. Installation and use of lighting that kills bacteria. So while we'll see UVC light in areas where humans aren't exposed to it, we could also see other innovative lighting fixtures installed in the workplace that can help kill the bacteria and the virus. Shifts in finish standards for FF&E to include solid surfaces, bleach cleanable fabrics, antimicrobial wall finishes, and non-porous materials. And then the possible scaling back of the open workspace and free address areas in favor of workstations like cubicles and things like that. The private office might be more prevalent. So we just spent the last decade plus reconfiguring offices and redesigning them to include open benching, low partitions or no partitions. So this new open workspace is now a an almost dangerous setting for people concerned about contracting the virus. So the reversion back to high panels and partitions and potentially the cubicle. So we may see an increase in space allotted per individual. We'll definitely see that in the near term with distancing and de-densification, but could we see a change in the implementation of new spaces with larger square footages per person, with larger workstations and private offices and more space in between? Right now we're at about 150 square feet per person. It could go up to 225 or 250 like we were at in the 90s and early 2000s. Or quite possibly nothing at all. We're creatures of habit, and should a vaccine go to market quickly or a treatment be implemented that works well, the workplace could return to a state very similar to what it was before we stayed at home. We'll just wash our hands a lot more, touch our faces a lot less, and be a little more cautious. But the workplace could very well return to a state very similar, depending on how long we're in the situation we're in now. So is this the end of the office as we know it? The pandemic has pushed millions of people to work from home. And in the coming months, nearly 100 million office workers are going to get back into the workplace. And many of them will likely go back to a very different office. And some of them may never return. But through our research, we found that companies operate most productively when they're in the same space. And the same will be true post-COVID-19. The workplace has to function efficiently for each work type, and the environment should be positive and uplifting. Companies should create a positive culture focused on health and well-being. Working in isolation stifles workflow and lacks the human interaction vital to our nature as social beings. So working together allows for promotion and sharing of ideas and the growth of a company. And working separately creates distance between coworkers, and it tends to stifle growth. So we think that culture is going to be king here. And as Peter Drucker said, culture eats strategy for breakfast. And working remotely takes on many different forms. And we think we have the ideal in our minds that we're going to be productive and free from distraction and able to really conquer the day. But it ends up taking on many different forms that we didn't expect. And the ability to be more relaxed and not dress up. The distractions of the home, TV and the outdoors, and educating our children and being distracted by other people that are working in the same space. So, as we navigate this working from home, Cornet Global surveyed 11,000 business owners and kind of gauged their opinions on the return to work. And 65% of those businesses said they'll consider it safe to return to the office when the government stay-at-home orders expire. 84% of those businesses plan to bring their employees back in waves. So the greatest need and the most important people to be in the office returning first, and potentially expanding work hours and shifts to lower the office density, bringing perhaps 20% of employees back first, as we know through scientific research that 20% is kind of the magic number. Anything at or less than that, and people can work in a workspace fairly safely. Once you get above 20%, and the danger level of people contracting the virus from one another goes up exponentially. So bringing people back in phases, 20% at a time, every few weeks or potentially every few months, following the repeal of the stay-at-home order. Working alternating days of the week, so Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, or even alternating weeks themselves. And then, of course, high-risk employees being encouraged to continue working from home. So people that are above a certain age or with asthma or diabetes being allowed to stay working from home for an extended period of time. And then 49% of those businesses are going to offer the work remote ability to people just uncomfortable with returning. So that fear factor, and those that are uncomfortable, having some level of empathy as a business owner and leader is going to be a key factor in this, and allowing those people that just don't feel comfortable getting into the workplace work from home a little bit longer. 94% of the businesses think that expanded remote working and virtual meetings will last beyond the current crisis. So many of our clients that we're working with are saying that even if they bring everybody back, or a large chunk, they're still going to restrict access to their office to vendors and clients and continue to have those meetings virtually so that their team is safe from outside contamination or outside influences. So virtual meetings are certainly here to stay for an extended period of time. Not just between companies and their vendors and clients, but even within those companies with the people that are still working from home. So this phased return is crucial. Right now we're all working remote. And as we come back, bringing small chunks of people back at a time into the office, and phasing that so that we get back to a large chunk of people working in the office with some sort of new remote mix that has a potential of, let's say 5, 10, 20, 40% of people working from home for a longer period of time, and then some people in the office. What that looks like is different for every company we're talking to, and it may continue to evolve as we learn more. Working from home takes on so many different forms that it's really not just comical, but concerning. We're seeing people working from their ironing board or high chairs or at the liquor cabinet, any solid surface, especially in small apartments or places where multiple people have to share the home office and go elsewhere to take meetings. People working from their toilet or ping pong tables or playrooms to get some peace and quiet to have meetings or do work. It's wild. So as a result of this, we've worked in close conjunction with our clients to create a program that we're calling our work from home voucher. And it allows us to work with companies to create a curated bundle of items, to like an ergonomic task chair, a height adjustable desk, and potentially a monitor arm or two, to get those to their employees so that they can work productively from home, not just for the near term, especially for those that are going to be working at home for a longer period of time or potentially indefinitely. So the company works with us to create this bundle, and then pays for it all in advance so that the voucher can go out to the employee, and then they can reach out with their address, and then we ship it straight to their doorstep. It's been wildly successful, and it's allowing companies to really support the people that are working from home and make sure that they're working productively and can still get the most out of their day. So in addition to that, we've come up with many other solutions based on the things that we're learning to provide for a timely, safe, and efficient return to work. And they center around our plan, furnish, and service approach. That's always been the core of Rightsize's go-to-market strategy. And so we redesign, retrofit, and reconfigure spaces right now for that return to work. And we redesign them through technology-enabled remote space planning, programming, and reshaping of our clients' workspaces, not just locally, but across the country. We've been working through virtual technology for about 6 years now as we expand to a nationwide presence and work with companies in every state to help them create new offices. So our consultative planning process is both immediate and ongoing as we partner with all types of companies and our clients to adapt to an ever-changing workplace. And so then we retrofit their spaces, incorporating innovative and purposeful furnishings and accessories from our 200 plus lines of furniture, such as panels and dividers, flexible and mobile screens, partitions, and informational signage. And then we implement those retrofit solutions by reconfiguring the space. We incorporate disassembly and reconfiguration of existing spaces to provide proper distancing and safe travel. We install new furnishings and accessories, removing excess workstations, relocating departments, and decommissioning vacated or excess furniture to make room for either new tenants or additional space to travel throughout the workplace. And we're hearing a lot of different requests from our clients, and every project is different. So as we learn from every new individual workplace or each client as they share with us their needs or wants or concerns, we're learning that workforce reentry strategy and training the workforce on the reentry expectations is crucial. Companies want to build confidence with individuals on health and safety and make them feel good about returning to work and what the company is doing to make sure that happens in a safe manner. So the things that we create, the presentations, the renderings, the thoughts around the return to work checklists are being shared with employees to make them feel more comfortable. Buildings and property managers are doing the same thing on their reopening protocols and sharing those with tenants. And then common area adjustments for social distancing, so people are sharing spaces wisely and know what's being done to protect them. So this reentry program management is crucial as we reimagine the space and the new way of working. We're seeing some interesting changes in furniture. And the future forecast is going to see an increase in products that create division and social distancing. We're going to see more quick ship and easy to assemble home office packages, but also quick ship items for the retrofitting of the office, so that companies that come to us planning for a return to work in 2 weeks can still get protection, just like a company that's planning to return to work in 4 months. So we have those solutions that ship in 24, 72, or 1 week lead times. And then we have others that can be customized and ship in a few weeks. Materials that are easy to clean, bleach cleanable, and non-porous, hard surfaces, antibacterial and antimicrobial surfaces. antibacterial technology like silver ion, UV light, nanotechnology, and copper-infused materials, sanitization products integrated into all work settings, agile furniture for flexibility, and hands-free adjustment features on just about everything. We're also seeing an increase in leasing versus buying of furniture because no one budgeted for the pandemic. Nobody was thinking about their 2020 budget last November or December saying, I'm going to set aside $50,000 in the event of a pandemic so that I can add protective measures to the workplace. So we're seeing many of our clients choose to lease these retrofit solutions rather than buy them. And these financing solutions are easy to come by. We have many great partners that can work with our clients to make sure those things happen. We're seeing a decrease in benching workstations in terms of popularity and those open workstations without screens. So people are starting to think more about separation. We're going to see a reduction in soft and porous lounge seating and materials, things with a lot of tufts or seams, or metal with folds that the virus can wedge itself into and not be sanitized easily. Reduction in high contact unassigned spaces. So open areas for collaboration, common spaces, training rooms, conference rooms. Reduction in shared storage in favor of assigned lockers and storage so that people can put their personal belongings, their bags, their purses inside something to protect them throughout the day rather than set them on the floor or on their workspace. Decluttering is going to be key. So as we implement and reconfigure and retrofit these spaces, we are implementing things like social distancing signage, directional signage, things that are either freestanding with customizable inserts, dry erase surfaces that you can write your message on, decals for the floor that either talk about distancing or direction, freestanding signs, and also things that go on the wall or the windows or the doors. Sanitization stations everywhere for sanitizer and gloves and masks and tissues so that people have those at the ready whenever they feel the need to clean up or put on some PPE. As we plan these spaces, we're rendering the solutions for our clients, taking their existing space and showing them solutions. So here's a reception area where we've added screens to protect the receptionist or security desk as they greet customers, and directional decals that encourage people to distance and tell them where to stand for the safety of the receptionist and for the safety of one another. The separation of the guest chairs so that people are properly distanced, and then adding partitions between them so people feel safe while they're waiting. So you see these screens are going up everywhere, not just in businesses and building lobbies, but in hotels, at the desk, and in airports, at the counters. It's just one of those things that is going to be everywhere as we get back to work. We're also seeing temperature screening spaces as people enter the building, whether that's in this case a mobile glass screen with a slot down the middle that allows you to put an infrared thermometer in it and take someone's temperature. We also have complete enclosures, so little kiosks that someone can stand safely in that have just a little opening for the thermometer, and they can screen people as they enter. And then there are unmanned solutions. So there are kiosks that someone can go up to. It's got facial recognition, allows them to check in for the day and takes their temperature, clearing them for entry. And then there are tablets that have infrared cameras that screen everyone as they enter, gauge their external body temperature, and set off an alarm for anyone that's reading a little bit high. Room dividers and partitions are going to be everywhere. We're implementing them in between workstations and between common areas and just in the overall space to prevent more and more division. They can be dry erase boards, they can be fixed or mobile, planters on a large scale, not only look beautiful, but they act as dividers, and they also serve to improve the air quality. And then dividers that includes acoustic materials to absorb some of the sound that these screens that we're implementing are going to serve to create more of. We're going to see a little bit more noise pollution in the space as we add these solid surfaces back in. So these screens that wrap around height adjustable desks or sit between one another, either on the surface or going all the way down to the floor. We're seeing many materials, whether it's glass, plexi, dry erase, acoustic felt, or even customizable materials. There are high-end solutions like glass that wraps around 2 to 3 feet high up from a desk on every side, and are beautiful and more permanent, right down to solutions that ship within 24 hours, flat packed, and could be less than $50 to protect an entire desk. Wraps around all 3 sides, goes up 2 feet, and it feels like a little study carrel, but made out of cardboard. So it's not as permanent of a solution, but we know that cardboard kills the coronavirus within 24 hours. So as long as that's somebody's individual desk and they can still sanitize their surface, that cardboard prevents airflow from reaching them from other employees in the space. The other thing that I mentioned briefly in terms of bags and other clutter is just the amount of things that are out in the open. So putting things into storage and finding ways to keep them off the surface is going to be crucial. Things like monitor arms that people have been using in spaces to improve ergonomics and functionality and productivity of the space. So when you get a monitor up off the surface and can pull it towards you at the right eye level and at the right focal point, which we know is a relaxed arm's length, they're about 18 inches away from the face, helps you work more productively, but it also allows you to get that monitor off the desk. So you eliminate the monitor stand and the wires from being on the desk, allowing someone to sanitize it frequently. Same thing goes for the keyboard and mouse. Those are things that are clutter on the space at the end of the night or at the end of the day when the janitorial staff goes through to clean. So if we can get that keyboard and mouse onto a keyboard tray, which is another great ergonomic feature that allows you to sit up straight with proper posture, with your head and neck supported and your arms at a proper angle, eliminating carpal tunnel and allowing you to type more efficiently. So those keyboard trays are fantastic for anyone, but getting those under the surface and allowing you to slide the keyboard and mouse under the desk at the end of the day is going to help you sanitize the space a lot more efficiently. So these things that were formerly just for ergonomics are now twofold, ergonomics and cleanliness. As we work with our clients to imagine their new spaces, we're taking their existing and rendering the additions in some cases just minimally adding additional screens where necessary and aisle panels, in some cases adding stackers and wing panels to cubicles and higher screens on benching, and of course side-to-side screens, and then some signage indicating how to use the space or direction of travel. And in some cases, rather than using decals on the floor, we can even incorporate a replacement of carpet tiles in a path with a solid color indicating direction. So it's a little more elegant way to indicate direction of travel through a space. We're also reconfiguring workstations. So some may already have screens, but need to be distanced from one another. So turning clusters of 6 or 8 into 2 packs that can be properly distanced and creating more aisleways. And it all depends on the amount of space within the office to allow us to do this. In addition, we're also reconfiguring cubicles and adding panels to create more distancing and more separation and privacy. And then we're adjusting conference rooms. So we're going to see an elimination or a reduction in common touch points like small tables, where previously 4 people would have met 3 feet from one another. Now they can meet with their own individual desk or table or training table or laptop table. In this case, it's a neat little student desk that's easily cleanable. And it gives them their own surface to continue to work productively on with their laptop and their notepad, but it's a surface that they can disinfect before they use the space and after, and feel comfortable by moving back towards the outskirts of the room so they can still have a productive meeting, but properly spaced. So the addition of some of these smaller tables like student desks and laptop tables and training tables are something that we're implementing in spaces to really add that sense of safety and security while still allowing them to meet with other people. And then virtual meetings. We're in one right now, but when they come back to the office, they're going to be loud. People talk louder in virtual meetings than they do in in-person meetings, not just because they're yelling at the microphone from across the table, but also that sound the speaker puts out emits a little bit more sound than someone that would just be talking to one another. So that sound needs to go somewhere. And rather than letting it bounce out into the workplace, we're adding acoustic elements to the space to absorb it. I mentioned the sound pollution that's going to be added by all of these hard screens. Well, it's also going to be a factor as a result of these virtual meetings. So adding things like PET felt, either on the wall or hanging in grids or through use of things like light art that marry lighting and acoustic felt are going to be crucial. And PET felt is a great material to use in the space because, like cardboard, it is an inhospitable environment for the virus and kills it not in 24 hours, but in less than 48. Some other adjustments we're going to see are adjustments to task seating. So rather than the fabric seats and the fabric mesh that are on many chairs, we're going to see more bleach cleanable vinyl and rubber mesh or poly backs that can be easily disinfected with a vinyl seat. We're also going to be seeing fewer touch points, so fewer adjustments on the chair, fewer arms on the chair in common spaces. So rather than having those arms you can touch in a meeting space or a conference room, we might remove those or install chairs without them for the near term so that it's just one less thing to clean or to touch. And then innovative materials like copper mesh. So one of our manufacturing partners, Via Seating, has the exclusive patent on copper mesh for use in office seating. So previously, this was something we used in healthcare spaces, but now healthcare solutions like silver infused fabric or copper mesh, bleach cleanable vinyl, those are making their way into the workplace right now in a huge fashion. So copper mesh, copper, just like silver, kills the virus within 4 hours. So it's a great solution for preventing that additional spread of coronavirus, and it's a really neat solution. And then replacing soft and upholstered seating with hard shell chairs, poly that can be easily cleaned, especially in cafes. And not just replacing that seating or making things more cleanable, but separating and de-densifying these cafe and common spaces. So changing it from a high density cafe to fewer tables, fewer chairs, potentially just 1 or 2 per table, and more distance between them, and maybe even screens between tables. And then we're also focusing on the path of circulation throughout the space. So in this case, there are 2 points of egress. So one can be marked entrance, the other can be marked exit, and everybody travels in a clockwise fashion throughout the space. The same can be done with one entrance or exit, and you just travel in a single direction throughout the space, whether that's clockwise or counterclockwise, and we can implement directional signage to educate people on how to do that. We're seeing an adjustment in collaboration spaces. So open collaborative areas are seeing the elimination of coffee tables and the addition of tablet arms and individual laptop tables that can be cleaned and used by just one person. The addition of cubicle panels and partitions and screens between collaborative areas. Some are freestanding, some are complete enclosures with sliding doors. And then others are just built into the chair itself. So higher back chairs that prevent that airflow and give you your own little personal space, either for heads down work or meeting with one another. And then as we do this, we're creating a redesign, and it starts with a plan. So using the CAD drawing and the layout of the floor plate, we are implementing these measures and sharing them with the clients and the employees so that they're comfortable and they know what we're going to do in the space, either removing seating or indicating where people are going to sit for the near term to properly distance, the direction of travel throughout the space, and indicating that through signage. And then taking photos or video of these spaces while we're still working remotely to mark them up by showing them where dividers can be implemented and screens can be replaced with higher ones or cleanable surfaces. Additional screens on the aisleways to protect all sides. And then in this case, one of the solutions was adding planters to the top of these file islands so that it added an additional layer of protection from the aisleway to the workers. And those plants additionally, in addition to being beautiful, are going to provide a barrier and improve air quality. Same thing goes with cubicles, raising the panels up. Solutions like adding wings on the aisles to protect people from high traffic areas, reduction of clutter, so eliminating things like paper management solutions. And then there's a ton of fabric on the cubicle. So it may be all right on the inside because that's your space, but high traffic areas that can't be disinfected easily if they're fabric are being replaced by either an entire laminate gallery panel or leaving the cubicle panel, we can replace it with a vinyl skin that can be easily cleaned or even a laminate insert. And of course, raising those up to be higher to protect people from the common high traffic aisleways. The other thing that's fabric throughout a space that we're seeing a need for adjustment in is the cushion on the mobile pedestal. So for the last 10, 15 years, we've been implementing cushions on every bit of filing. Anywhere you can sit down, we're putting a cushion so that as we reduce the number of offices and guest chairs in a space, we're adding places where people can sit and collaborate with one another in the workspace. Problem with that is that these are mostly fabric. So we're going through these workspaces and removing the cushions and replacing them or reupholstering them with a bleach cleanable vinyl fabric cushion, or eliminating them entirely in favor of a little piece of laminate that still covers the bed and looks beautiful, but can be easily cleaned. So as we go through and implement these things, we're reconfiguring the workstations by adding screens to the benching, adding those monitor arms we discussed, adding mobile screens that can be used and repurposed later as collaborative solutions. But right now they can be used as a functional partition and barrier from the team to the high traffic aisleway. And there's going to be some impact of this. All these changes are crucial, and employers who choose not to make the changes to their existing workplace could face the backlash of an employee base that craves safety and security in the space. And remaining stagnant in that physical space and allowing the workplace of the past to continue as employees return to work will result in a drastic loss of employee confidence and engagement and trust in their leadership, attraction and retention. So, these things are very important things that we're studying and learning and constantly evolving to help companies redesign, retrofit, and reconfigure their spaces, which we feel are the three main tools for effective change in the workplace. So you can learn more about these things that we've talked about today and other things that as we learn them, we're updating them on our website, and using this as a resource can be a great value to your team, not only about the Reshaping Your Workplace portion that we talked about today, but also white papers and research from some of the experts we talked about, not just in the commercial real estate community, but architecture and design, healthcare, government officials. So there's some great information on our website there under Reshaping Your Workplace. Information that talks about how we can continue to service clients, not just locally, but around the country through our virtual technology. Additional information on our financing programs and how we can help you accomplish this without breaking the bank. And then more information on our work from home voucher programs. And not only can we work with you to get your employees set up on a mass scale and make sure that they're all working productively, but if you just, as an individual, would like some additional ergonomic solutions for your home office to work more productively, there's an online portal there where you can purchase things just for yourself. So thank you so much for spending this time with us today. We look forward to speaking with you and collaborating with you and learning about how your business wants to approach the return to work so that we can help you with the proper solutions that fit your budget, your timeline, and your needs for your workplace. We're eager to help. We're all ready and at our computers, eager to participate in the redesign, retrofit, and reconfigure of your space. Please feel free to reach out to me with any questions or ideas for collaboration as we embark upon this new way of working. And thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful day and be well, everyone.
Are you moving, expanding, or planning an office renovation? Do you need more collaborative space or private breakout spaces? Are you having trouble attracting new talent, retaining your existing talent? Your outdated space could be part of the problem. After all, who wants to come to work in an office where the design makes them desperate to escape? Perhaps it's time to update your office. And Rightsize can help. Our turnkey plan, furnish, service approach to office design starts with understanding functionality, how design affects everyone's ability to perform at their highest level. We collaborate directly with our clients and use a creative blend of office furniture at a variety of price points to design a high-quality workplace environment that meets all your aesthetic and budgetary goals. With over 50,000 completed projects over the last 15 years, Rightsize delivers a fully curated solution that guarantees an office you'll love at a price you can afford.